All right, good evening, everyone. Hope you all are doing well. Let's go ahead and see what happened with Bitcoin today. When it comes to our daily, let's take a look and see how we closed here. So, we closed a nice tweezer bottom right here. So, you guys can see that, we had a pretty big range. I mean, we went from what says our high was 60,744 and our low was 58,300. So, about a few $1,000 range, not too bad. Definitely not as expansive as the previous day, Thursday, but we still had a pretty big move, right? This is a really good sign. I mean, we held 58,613, we held 59,702. So both of those were our kind of support lines for the day, and obviously we were able to close above them. That's a good sign. I know I posted this in the Sin City Crypto group, but you could, in theory, and I know that some other people are doing this, but you could take a long right here on the daily with a stop below these wicks and just chance it. This would be extremely high risk. You do have a low stochastics RSI. You don't have quite have the cross yet. You don't really have anything on, Market Cipher. And then also, we don't know yet what tether dominance is going to do, right? This is my tether dominance chart. It would be extremely risky, especially going into a weekend to do that, but it is possible and it could potentially work out. So, very, very high risk. I would say low probability, but that's something that if you didn't want to look at this and you wanted a trade open over the weekend, not financial advice, but you could take that. Um, the 12 hour. So the 12 hour has a bullish engulfing candle. Really, it kind of indicates that that trade could potentially work out, right? We could get one more, at least one more candle potentially here because it's bullish engulfing. So our next 12-hour candle could close to the upside. But again, like I said, low volume and we're getting into a weekend. So this is a Friday night, Saturday, early morning type of trade here. Definitely high risk, right? Um, Dropping into the 8 hour. So, altogether, honestly, guys, like it's not looking really great. You basically had a decent bullish candle up here on the 8 hour. It looks like this was around 8 p.m. yesterday, and then you're just kind of giving it all back, right? So, at least so far, this closes in 6 hours, but um, not a lot of strength. I mean, there's just not a lot of bullish momentum to really get this going. The only thing that these bigger time frames have is these wicks to the downside. Other than that, there's just nothing really. I think that on the daily, and I know somebody in the group pointed it out, but I believe that we did bounce off of a 618 level on the daily, which could provide a bounce. I definitely don't think that indicates, the low of the macro cycle. It could potentially give us a bounce, though. I know that there's probably some bullish divergence here as well. Let's see. So, I mean, it's very slight, not major on the daily. I wouldn't even really consider it too much. It doesn't. There's a slight swing up here on the stochastics, and swing down here. Um, just not a lot of great indication, right? And especially since this would be different if we close this candle like this on a Monday or Tuesday, but I mean we're going into the weekend, so we can't really expect too much here. I do think that a big move is coming, but we have to get out of this range. I mean, we've been in this smaller, basically consolidation range for the past what? This was, since the beginning of Thursday here. Yeah, since basically the beginning of Thursday morning, all the way till now, we've just kind of been within 60,622 and 58,613. So we got to get out of this range sooner or later. So ideally, I mean, I know that I said this, but there's a potential that this weekend we get a more of a volatile move. I really do not want that to happen. But there's more of a potential that we get a decent move either on Saturday or Sunday. I hope it doesn't happen, but I'm just kind of leaving that out there that it definitely could this weekend. Um, when it comes to our 15-minute, you can see I'm targeting this around here, um, around 58, 920. I know that I believe the last time I checked Trading Different, there was a spec of liquidity around 59.2. So somewhere in between here, I'm expecting for us to drop to just to kind of test this area out. I don't know if we pull from this wick. That's more about 59.2 if we were to pull from this wick right here, not the very bottom, but this kind of this second impulse here. So that's closer to 59.2 right there, as you guys can see. So I'm going to give you guys a few scenarios that, potentially could play out. So um, what I'm looking for is one of three things, and I'll tell you probability wise, which is the most probable, which is the least probable. So we'll start with the least probable. The least probable is we get a little bit of a dump here, make some sort of local 786, and then we start coming up testing these higher 60K range this weekend. I highly, highly doubt that that will happen that way. I don't, again, that would be like my lowest probability for that type of move to happen. The second probability I would say, or kind of in the middle, would be dropping down into this 59,200, and then finding some support there, and then bouncing from there. Kind of in the middle with that, when it comes to the bounce back up, guys. I mean, I'm not even talking to like 63,000. I'm talking more to like 62. I think that the higher, I'm of the mindset that the higher liquidity that we see that's very consolidated and trading different, and we'll get to that. I feel like that's going to be taken out in July. I don't think that's going to be taken out this month. So anything that I'm talking about would be probably be up to like this 61 124 or 62 109 level at the most. Okay. So that would be like the second move I would possibly be, expecting kind of a medium probability. It's more probable than the first, right? And then the final one that is the most probable, in my opinion, is we slowly fall over to 57 300 around this area. We could even go a little bit lower, but my fib's at 57.3, so I'm going to keep it that way. I actually have a limit order down here in case we do reach there this weekend. So hitting this and then seeing a strong reaction because we're taking out this like triple bottom right here. Seeing a really strong reaction from there and then just bouncing back up to like 62 area. Don't think it's going to go higher than that, like I said, but that's kind of what I'm expecting if we were to make like a volatile move this weekend is diving down all the way down here, taking out this triple bottom, taking the last, bit of liquidity that's red, and then skyrocketing up from there, seeing a lot of resistance, and then again bouncing quite hard, right, quite violently. So those are the three things that I'm seeing for right now for Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and dive into the trading different liquidity indicators. So um, taking a look at trading different. This is on the 4-hour time frame. So we have the 25x checked off. I'm gonna go down with this here. So basically this is grouped per million, right? So you can see there's some up to 61.8, almost 62,000. So we have some down here to 57.4. That's kind of what I'm expecting is we take this out first and then we bounce up and take this out. I'll show you why I'm expecting this to be taken out first. There's a lot of red right here near us on the 5 minute, more so than to the upside. So that's one of the reasons. But more so, it's just would make more sense to just wipe out this triple bottom before we really start expanding. If that doesn't happen, and for whatever reason we, let's say we hit that 59.2, we bounce from there into here, expect the beginning week of July to take this out. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be a very tough week this upcoming week because we have a holiday, 4th of July, and then we also have a monthly close. We have a new month open. Let's take a look and see if we have any Forex events. Let's see, this would be for this week. So we have GDP on Tuesday. That looks like it's for Canada though, but I guess that could possibly affect it here. We have Chairman Warsh speaking on Wednesday. PMI on Wednesday as well, so that's going to be a highly volatile day. We have non-farm unemployment change and then unemployment rate. So Thursday is going to be, usually if we have a bullish month, we expect this week to be bearish. So I would not be surprised taking out 57 this week. Okay, I'm going to keep my limit order there because more than likely, chances are that that's going to be hit. Okay. So anyways, that's what Forex Factory is showing us. Dropping into the 1 hour, let's take a look and see what's going to happen, sooner rather than next week here. So I'm going to go ahead and group this a little bit better here. Yeah, it looks like it already saved my 7 million aggregation, which is nice. So you guys can see, I mean, we could easily get up to the 62 level and get rejected, right? So that's going to be an area of resistance for right now. I would definitely have this on your charts, you know, around 62. I think I had it 62 109. So 62 109 would be our 78 bearish 786. Kind of lines up with 62 140, so we'll have that right there. And then obviously, like, you know, to the downside, I think I said 59.2. So that would be another potential area, which is right around here, we'll say. 59.2. So those are going to be the two levels that I'm targeting near term, and then obviously we can get down to this 57.300 area, 57.4. You know, for our bottom there, that I'm expecting a bounce off of. So let's take a look at the 15 and then the 5 to see what's going on here. So when it comes to the 15-minute here, let me actually undo some of this here. So you can kind of see it doesn't really change too much. Again, 62 140 would be our target. You know, 59.2 I believe is going to show up on the 5-minute. It's kind of like a speck of liquidity that I'm expecting for us to take out sooner rather than later. And then we, like I said, go down to 57.4, potentially for next week. I'm going to save this probably for next week. I don't see us going down this weekend unless we get some sort of weird volatile move down. We could potentially this weekend take out 62 140 area, but that's going to be, you know, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not we get a bounce off of 59.2. That's kind of our last chance before we start digging down into here. Going into the 5-minute, so our 5-minute, you can see, you know, there's my spec of liquidity I was talking about, starting at 59.2. I think it ends around 59, almost even. So I'm more so expecting this to get taken out sooner rather than later right here, because a lot of times the market, especially in the smaller time frames, balances itself by taking these smaller bits of liquidity out. So I would expect this to be taken out, and then if we don't, like I said, I want to bounce from here. If we do take this out up to that around 62 140 area, if we don't get that bounce, expect us to fall through and test this 57 range. Okay, this would be next on the table down here. So that's kind of what I'm expecting for the shorter term time frames. Um, Again, not really too bullish. I definitely am more of a bear sentiment. If we line up Kiyotaka, which is a free order book here, you can see that, you know, we do have a lot more orders to the downside than to the upside. 59.2 has all of these huge orders there, so there's a very good chance if we were to take this out that we would get some type of relief bounce from there. But, you know, if it fails and it provides additional, let's just say, energy to move, you know, in that same direction, we could easily plow through and take out all of this. Okay, and down to 57.4 and 57.3 and all that good stuff. So, um, you know, we do have some orders to the upside. Again, like almost, you know, we have one at 61,000 and then almost perfectly at my 62,000 area. So, you know, that's kind of what the market is showing us for right now. I am personally, you know, I was thinking about doing the daily trade, you know, and just longing it from that tweezer bottom, but to play it safe, I put in a limit order, a smaller one at 59.2 to chance it if we hit it, you know, and I'll take a small profit there kind of as a scalp. But then my bigger order, my major order is down at 57, around 57.5. I'm kind of front running my area, but it's around 57.5 to get that bounce and then possibly to see that bounce come back up. So that is what I'm seeing so far in the market, guys. I will be updating you guys tomorrow sometime, probably tomorrow morning. So anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Trade safe, and I will talk to you later. Take care.